Imagine waking up to find your social media accounts already populated with trending, relevant content that your audience loves, and you didn't have to do anything. I know it sounds impossible, right? Well, what if I told you that's exactly what I'm going to teach you to build over the next 4 videos? I spent months perfecting an automation system that turns the exhausting daily grind of social media management into a nearly hands-free operation that gives you as much or as little control as you want. And today I'm sharing everything. I'm even giving you free access to the automation blueprints so you can load them in with a click of a button, and to all the AI prompts I use in my Make.com scenarios. Over this 4-part series, we're building a complete social media automation system that will transform raw news into engaging social media posts, write creative, platform-specific content using AI, automatically post at the perfect times, and even generate newsletters that keep your audience coming back for more. The best part of this is that once we set this up, it completely runs itself. In today's video, we're laying the foundation. I'm going to show you how to create an automation that scans the internet on a schedule that you set to find relevant content in your niche and use AI to analyze and summarize it and organizes everything into a clean, manageable database. This is basically like having a team of content researchers working for you 24/7. This is going to set us up perfectly for part 2, where I'll show you how to use AI to generate viral social media posts from these stories that's completely tailored to specific platforms like X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. 2 months ago, I was spending 3 hours every single morning hunting for content ideas, reading articles, and trying to figure out what to post. Now, my automated system does all of that in less than 5 minutes, and I literally don't have to do anything. Let me show you something real quick. See this? Every single one of these ideas, summaries, and social media posts was all generated completely with AI without me having to do anything. No copying and pasting, no endless browser tabs, and the best part is this actually isn't so difficult to set up. I know it looks complicated, but let me walk you through it. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through exactly how to build this system using Make.com, RSS feeds, and AI tools like ChatGPT. We'll go step by step, and by the end of this video, you'll have your own content automation machine set up to run 24/7. Make sure you stay until the end because I'll also share an advanced trick that can help you customize the system to create variety in your content and find exactly the kind of content your audience craves. Let's dive in and build your automated content engine. But before we do, I need you to hit that subscribe button if you want to learn all about AI automations in 2025. I make videos about this all the time that you won't want to miss. In order to get started, we're basically just going to need 4 things: access to Make.com, RSS feeds, Airtable, and ChatGPT. I'll leave links in the description where you can access all of these platforms. Everything is free except for ChatGPT, which is going to cost just a little bit of money for you to run. Let me show you exactly how this system works, and then I'm going to walk you through step by step while we build this together. In order to get started, you basically just need to be familiar with what an RSS feed is. So this is an RSS feed for the OpenAI blog, and OpenAI is the company that makes ChatGPT. And basically, this is just an aggregated list of every single blog article that comes out that gets updated as soon as a new article is published. This is incredibly powerful because you can always make sure you have access to the latest information. But what's really cool about RSS feeds is that you can actually come in and you can bundle these together. So you can find all the relevant sources to your niche and put them together into one single feed. So I have articles here from The Verge, from Decrypt. This is also The Verge, AItoolsClub.com. So these are some sources that talk about AI and ChatGPT and AI tools and things like that. They're relevant to me. But if there are new sources that are relevant to you, instead of looking through them manually every single day, just create this bundle of RSS feeds that you can then use to scrape the content from that is current. It's always up to date. It's the most relevant articles to your audience. So basically what we're doing here is we're using this RSS feed to scrape the latest titles and the URLs from those articles. From there, the HTTP module is going to get the article content, the body of that article, the main text. We're going to parse that out, turn that into text that ChatGPT can understand. We're going to use ChatGPT basically as a research assistant to analyze that article to figure out if it really is truly relevant to our niche. In my case, I'm figuring out, is this relevant? Is this article about AI? If the answer is yes, it passes it on through the rest of the flow where we create a summary of that article. We create a little one-line topic description so that when you go into your Airtable database, you can just look at a really quick glance to see what the article is about and if you're interested in creating content on it. And then after that, it's going to store all the records inside of Airtable like this. This is the part that's really cool. This is the part that gives you as much or as little control as you want. Basically, we just have this approval column. And once the makes.com scenario puts your content in here, you can actually approve the source before it begins generating all the social media posts. So if you find that some of the articles actually aren't relevant to your audience or they're just not that interesting, you don't have to approve them. Therefore, you don't have to put them out on your social media. And again, this is all up to you. If you just want this thing to post 24/7 without you even looking at it, like you can totally skip the step or just have the system automatically approve every single piece of content that gets added to the database. It's really up to you. So now that you understand how this works, let's just get started creating this together. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to come over to rss.app and create an account. And again, I'll leave a link in the description where you can sign up totally for free. Once you're here, if there are a couple news sources you like, in this instance, I'm just going to use the blog from Anthropic, which is a company that makes Claude. And I'm just going to add a new feed for this particular blog. So you just come in and all you have to do is copy the URL and come back to RSS and click create a new feed. And from here, just paste the URL in and click generate. And now you can see we have this really awesome RSS feed that basically just aggregates every single blog post that Anthropic is putting out. And again, this is always up to date. This is always relevant. As soon as a new article is published, it's going to get added to this feed for you. And from here, just click save feed. Now you can come back to this feed and visit this anytime you want. So I already have a bundle going. And if you want to create a new bundle, you can just come up here and click plus. And so all you have to do here is you just select which feeds you want to add to the bundle. In my case, I already have this AI news feed, which we saw earlier. And basically we can just come down here and we can add a feed to this. So we'll just click add feed and going to add the newsroom feed from Anthropic. And it looks like they haven't posted in a while, but if you come down here, now you can see that these blog articles are actually added to our feed. The other thing you should be aware of is this number of posts. If you're finding that one source is appearing too much in your feed and you want to limit that, you can actually just come in here and set the number of posts lower so that you're actually only seeing one article per source. Now up here, this link is the really important part. This is the specific URL to this RSS feed. And this is what we're going to feed into make.com to begin scraping these articles to get our content ideas from. So really for now, we can just go ahead and we can click copy. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to head over to make.com. And again, I'll leave a link in the description where you can sign up for Make absolutely free. Once you've created an account, what we're going to want to do is we just want to create a brand new scenario. And basically, if you're unfamiliar with make.com, it is my favorite platform for AI automations because it is so simple and intuitive to use. So here's the big plus. And basically this kicks off the automation. This is the first thing that's going to happen. So the first thing that we want to have happen is we basically just want to search the RSS feed for new articles. So if you just come down here and you type RSS, and you can either do watch the RSS feed items, which basically means that this scenario is going to kick off every time a new article gets added to the RSS feed. In our case, that's overkill. We don't need to run it this frequently. So what we're going to do is we're going to retrieve the RSS feed items and just go ahead and click that. And now we're getting started. So what's really cool is remember we copied this URL from the RSS feed. And all we have to do is we just have to paste this in here. And if you want to be really specific, you can change the date from and date to range. If there's like a range of articles that you don't want to go like past, if you think that it might be too old and you don't want to include that, just set the dates here. And the maximum number of items to return. This part's important. If you don't set this, it's just going to scrape every item in your feed and this might go on forever. You might run into errors. So like right now, we can just set this to something like 5 and we'll click OK. And you can either right click on the module and click run this module only. Or since we only have this one module, you can just come down here and click run once. So already you can see in like literally, what was that? Half a second. This scraped all of the articles from this list. And you can see right here, it gives us so much detail. Each one of these different bundles is a separate article. So you can come down here, you can see this is the title of the article. Here's a little description. Here's a summary. Here's the actual URL for the article, which we're definitely going to want, right? If there are images, they'll be in here and so on and so on. A lot of this stuff we don't actually need, but some of this stuff up here, I think is actually going to be really important. So in our original scenario, I have this set multiple variables module. Basically, this is just including the URL and the title. And I like having this because it really sets us up in a way that we can test this system over and over again without having to run the RSS feed module repeatedly. And so this just saves us operations. It saves us time. It just makes everything easier because basically the way the RSS feed module works, remember when we set the maximum number of items to 5? Basically, what's going to happen is for every single one of those items returned, it's going to go through this entire flow. So we could set that number to 1, or we can just use this module to basically hard code in the stuff that we need while we're in the testing phase. So I'm going to set that up now, and then I'm going to show you how we can use it. So basically to create the next module, just click the plus, and you can come down here and click tools, or if you want, you can just click set multiple variables. Basically, the 2 variables we had the URL for the article, and we had the title of the article. Really simple. So we'll just come down here, we'll name this URL, and we'll have the next, and we'll just name it title. What's really great about this is when you're ready to hook this up, if you come into the variable value, you can just come down here and see where it says URL, you can get the URL. And you can come down here and where it says title, you can just click title. And now for every single one of those news articles, basically it's just going to dynamically populate the rest of the scenario and the flow. And so that for every single article that comes up, it'll run through the flow and these items will change. So again, if we were to click run once, we can go down here and we can see that now we've actually returned these 5 different operations. And each one of these includes the URL and the title. So again, this will use your operations a little bit more quickly, which is why I wanted to set this up where we can hard code this in really easily. So let's use this first article, The Verge, and we're just going to go ahead and copy and paste that. And instead of the dynamic link to the URL, I'll paste that in here and click OK. And same thing here. I'm just going to grab the title of the operation 1, Microsoft opens testing for Windows AI search. And again, I'll just come down here and I'll paste this in here. So I'll just click OK. And so what we can do now is that instead of starting the scenario with the RSS feed, we can just unlink these and we can move the little stopwatch over here. So now that actually this multiples variable module, this is what kicks off our operation. And so every time we click run once, basically it's just going to run through and pull that title and URL for us. And so we don't have to go through all 5 of these options every single time. I actually have 2 other versions of the scenario that I created in order to generate viral content ideas. The first one we talked about here is using the RSS feed. The second one is using an Apify to scrape subreddits in order to find viral and trending content. The third way is using Google Sheets or Airtable and grabbing basically a list of topic ideas that you set either out of your own head or using AI to generate this topic list. And then from there, using Perplexity to research those topic ideas to generate fresh and relevant content. So just let me know in the comments if you'd like me to create videos showing you how to use each one of those different scenarios. The next part is setting up the HTTP module, which is literally so simple. Basically, all we need to do is be able to extract the text from the actual article. So we can just click the plus here and we can just type in HTTP and go get a file. And literally all you need to do is pipe in the URL from the multiple variables module right here before us in the scenario. Once you're done here, go ahead and click OK. And so now we can run this once and you can see what happens again in a second. Basically, if you come down here into the data, this is the entire HTML from the article itself. I know it looks long, but if you get into it, you can actually read, here's the content of the article here. Once we have that, the next thing we do is we just need to convert this article into text, which is something that ChatGPT can understand. So let's go ahead and click the plus and type in text parser. And we just want to go HTML to text. So all you need to do here is pipe in the data from the previous HTTP module. Go ahead and click OK. The next part is where the fun happens. This is where we use ChatGPT to create our article summaries and the one-line topic description so that we can approve the content at a quick glance. Before we do that, what I want to do is I just want to check to make sure that the articles we're grabbing are actually about AI. And so here's the prompt I use. Basically, we're just inserting the text of the article. And then I ask ChatGPT, is the main theme of the article about AI or artificial intelligence? Your only 2 answers are yes or no. Only reply with a single word answer and nothing else. So we can just go ahead and we can copy and paste this. And I'll show you how to set this up. So basically just click plus here and we can come down to ChatGPT, open AI here. And all we want to do is create a completion. Now, basically, this is the only part that you have to pay for. In order to be able to hook up the API for ChatGPT, you need to have a ChatGPT Plus account and a couple of credits in your account. Now, to actually run this, it's incredibly cheap. It literally costs pennies to run this. In order to get access to the API, just come over to platform.openai.com and basically just come into settings here. You can come into the left where it says API keys and you can create a new secret key. And just go through these couple of steps and you'll have a new API key that you can work with. And once you're here, you're just going to click add a new connection. And it's basically just going to ask you for your API key and your organization ID. And you're just going to go ahead and click OK. And that's going to create a new connection for you. We can set the model here to ChatGPT o4 system. And we can just go ahead here and add a message. And all we need is that single message. We can click user and we can just paste this in. And we can say, we're basically just asking ChatGPT, is this article actually about AI? And we're going to click OK. So now we can run this whole scenario once again. And literally again in just a second, basically this comes out and look, result, we have yes. Plain and simple. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to use this to filter out the results to make sure that anything that gets added to our database is actually about our niche and the content that our audience is interested in. And it's always really helpful to name everything. So I'm just going to rename this about AI ? Okay. And we can do this as well. We can just type 1 because this is going to be the first scenario in the 4 scenarios that are needed for the total content automation system. And then we'll just call this RSS to record. click enter, and down at the bottom here, just go ahead and click save to make sure you save your scenario. So the next thing that we want to do is we actually want to create a summary of the article. So what we can do is we can actually just clone this ChatGPT module and we can attach this to the end, and we'll rename this create summary. Click OK. So we can just come down in here and we want to create another completion. But what we're going to do is we're going to change the prompt around a little bit. We can go ahead and delete this. And the first prompt, I'm just going to go ahead and make this a system prompt. And I'm going to say you are a helpful and intelligent research assistant. And we're going to add one more message. The role is the user. And I'm just going to copy and paste my summary agent. And I'll make sure you have access to this prompt. And I'll leave a link in the description. And basically, we're just going to say, you will be given an article to read and understand thoroughly. Your task is to analyze the content and create a concise summary that captures the key points and main ideas to discuss. When crafting your summary, focus on these aspects, identify the article's core message, highlight the most crucial facts, and if relevant, briefly mention any major conclusions or recommendations. Tell it to avoid anything extras, anything like fillers, and then we give it some tips for creating an effective summary, like concise and precise language, et cetera, and click up. And so we can go ahead and we just need to do one more thing. I'm just going to add a message and I'm going to say user message, and I'm just going to say article, : and what we want to do is we just want to pass in the text from the article, which is going to be the content of that article. And we go ahead and click OK. Before we can actually create the summary, we want to make sure we set up our filter so that only articles that are actually about our niche are going to get passed through to the rest of the automation. So let's come in here and click on this little wrench, and we can just type, again, about AI, ? And basically all we want to do is we want to say the result is equal to, and I like to make this case insensitive, just in case it, outputs this with a lowercase y on yes instead of an uppercase y, and we'll just type in yes. And so basically if the result is yes, it's going to continue to the automation. If the result is no, it's going to stop. In the case of us having the RSS feed, what's great about this is, again, remember, it's going to loop through like 5 or 10 or 15 of the articles, however many we set. And so if the answer is no, it's not going to pass that article to the rest of the scenario, but then it's just going to start with the next article from the RSS feed. So let's run this once and let's see what the output is. So this ran through, it grabbed the HTML, it converted the HTML to text. ChatGPT researched the article to figure out, was it about AI? The answer was yes. In this case, it equals yes. And then we came down here and it created summary. Microsoft is testing AI-powered Windows search for Windows 11 inside of testers. This feature uses semantic indexing for local file searches, et cetera, et cetera. So now we have a summary. So the last thing we want to do before storing this all in the database is we just want to create like a little short one-liner description. So again, I'm just going to copy and clone the summary module, and we'll just rename this to create one-liner and go ahead and click OK. And basically all we need to update is that prompt that says to create the summary. So instead of creating the summary, we're creating the one-liner. So give this a second to load. And this is the prompt that we just want to change. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste in this prompt. Again, I'll make sure you have access to this. And it just says objective, generate a brief and captivating summary with a maximum length of 50 characters based on the provided article data. The summary should be impactful, informative, and capture the core essence of the content. Here are some more instructions. Here's how to craft the summary. Make sure it's concise, no more than 50 characters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then again, we still have this user prompt where we passed in the article. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So let's just run this one. So let's just run this once more to test. So now we've created a summary. We've created the brief one-liner. Here's the summary. And if we look at the one-liner and the results, Microsoft tests AI search on Windows Insiders, which is great. So now we can use all of this to store this inside of our Airtable. So in order to do that, we got to set up our Airtable. One of my favorite reasons to using Airtable is that the interface is really intuitive. It's super clean, but it's also free for up to 1,000 entries per workspace, which is a lot. It's like likely more than you're ever going to use. So just head over to airtable.com. Again, I'll leave a link in the description where you can sign up totally for free. And if you want to create a new workspace or anything, just come down to the bottom here after you create your account and click create. And we're just going to start from scratch. And if you don't have a workspace set up, just come to this plus here and you can create a new workspace. I have this create together space, which I use for all my videos. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to click create. And now we're going to start from scratch. And we can just call this news topics database and hit enter. So we only need a couple things here, right? We want the title, the URL for the video, we want the summary and the one-liner. And then at the end, we're just going to have that approval status. So that way we can approve the source for further creation. Basically, if we approve the source, we'll then generate all our Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram posts from it. If we don't approve the source, we don't have to. And again, it's totally up to you, like how much like input you want to give. If you want the system to run, you don't have to have the approval step, but I like to have it to make sure that the content that I'm putting out there is actually authentic and relevant to me. Here are the default fields. I know I can just get rid of the assignee field. We don't need that. And we can come down here into name and we can just change this to title. And we'll come down here and change this field to the URL field. And we'll just name this URL. I'll show you a cool way to use this where you can turn this into a button. So in order to access the URL, you just need to use one click. From there, I'm going to go ahead and insert one to the right, and we'll call this summary. And we're going to make this long text, quick create field. And I'm just going to duplicate this field one more time. And I'm just going to call this one-liner. Or if you want it, we can actually just call this topic. And I'm just going to move this before the summary because I think that makes sense. The last thing we need is the status field. And we can just come in here and we can edit this. And basically, like, I just want two statuses, right? I just want to have declined and approved. And so again, we'll come down here and we'll just select the status that we want. If this is approved content, we'll send it off to the next automation, which I'll teach you about in the next video. And it'll start the whole flow of creating your social media content. What I can do is we actually don't need any of these rows yet because we're going to create these. And I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to come into the Builder Hub. And I have this working Airtable token. Again, you can create a new token to set up your API to connect directly with Make.com. And I just want to come down here and add the new base that we created, which is this news topic database. And I'm just going to save changes because I know I'm going to need that to connect to Make. So once you have that connection set up, just come back in here and you can just type in Airtable. And what we want to do is we want to create a record. And so just like we did for ChatGPT, if you want, you can click here to add a new connection, and you're going to use the OAuth connection and name this whatever you want. Come down here, pipe in your client ID and the client secret, and you'll be all set to connect Airtable to Make.com. I already have this working Airtable connection, and I just want to select the base that we just created, which is this news topic database. The table, here's table 1. And basically you can see these are the fields that we just created: the title, the URL, the topic, and the summary. And what's really cool is this is so easy. All you have to do is click in here and you can come down to this first module and you can take the title here. We can take the URL. And for topic, we can go ahead and we can use the result from the one-liner. And for the summary, we can use the result from the summary agent that we created. And the status, we don't need to set the status. We'll do that part manually and we can click OK. You just go ahead and save the scenario. And let's just run this once to see what happens. So let's just run this once. Again, HTTP is getting the article. The text is creating it to something ChatGPT can understand. And now we're creating the summary and the one-liner. And so if we pop back into Airtable, you can see we have the title for the article, the URL, the topic, and the summary of the article all ready to go. And really quick, one thing I like to do, just personal preference, is I like to insert a field to the right. And I like to create a button because I just think they're more fun and easier to use. And if you come down here and you just type the curly brackets, basically it'll show you all the fields that you have. And I'll just click create field. And so now what happens is instead I can just go ahead and click this button to open up the news article directly, which is just kind of like nicer to me than actually, clicking the URL. I don't know why, personal preference. If you want, you can go ahead and you can change the style of the button and we can say, article here. So now we have this nice kind of blue button that says article. And if we want, we can go ahead and hide this URL field because we don't need it anymore. We just have the buttons. And so let's link everything up dynamically. And I'm just going to show you how this works using the actual RSS feed that we created. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the stopwatch back. I'm going to connect this up here. And the last thing we have to do is remember, we just have to dynamically link the URL to the RSS feed, and same thing for the title of the article. And I'll just click title. Then we'll go ahead and click OK. And auto align this and click save. And so let's just run through this once. Again, it should grab all 5 articles for us and it'll go through this process one at a time. So you can see this is doing it for the first article. This is likely going to be the article that we've already grabbed. This happened once. And now you can see these numbers up here are increasing. So this means this is happening for the second article and the third article, the fourth and the fifth. And so you can see all of these are passing through our filter right now because we did a pretty good job setting up our RSS feed with news sources that are only, kind of relevant to AI. But actually you see this last one came through and it said, result number 4. It actually said this wasn't about AI. So it didn't get passed through to us. But if we come back into our database now, you can see we have these 4 other articles all populated in here. And so we can say ChatGPT updated custom instructions feature, easily customized ChatGPT responses. This is really great. This is good to go. Remember in the beginning when I promised you an advanced tip? Well, I'm going to show you how you can randomly and automatically access multiple RSS feed bundles without having to do any extra work. This is really great if you've created bundles based off of different topics or from different sources, like from news articles versus YouTube or things like that. With a couple simple modules, you can randomly select different RSS feeds to run through our content creation flow. Basically, all you need is two really simple modules, a random number generator and a switch module. And I'm going to show you exactly what those are and how to set them up. So I have this random number module right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and move the stopwatch to the beginning so we can see what it's doing. And basically, this is just a little bit of make.com code that's telling this to generate a random number. There's a couple important things here. See how random and the multiplication and the plus sign are in green. You have to make sure that you're actually grabbing these from the math functions here. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And the other thing you have to pay attention to is this number 2 right here. This is basically how many different sources you want to pull from or how many different random numbers you want to generate. So if I change this to 5, now I'm going to generate random numbers between 1 and 5. If I change this to 4, I'm going to generate random numbers between 1 and 4. So basically, this is important because what we're going to do is we're going to use this to randomly select a different RSS feed to use in our flow. So I'm going to set this down to something like 3. So in order just to create this from scratch, basically all you need to do is add a module and go here and type in set variable. And then all you have to do is pipe in this formula. And I'll make sure to leave this in the description. So basically, if you just right click this and say run this module only, you can see we have the number 3. And if I were to run this module again, you see now I get the number 2. And again, every time it's going to generate a random number between these values that we set here. The next thing you want to do is you just want to add a switch module. And this module is actually really, really powerful and I think often underused. So if you type in plus and you come in here and you just type in switch, what this is basically doing is this is allowing you to select different routes based off of certain conditions. Let me show you how this works. So if I feed in the input from the random number generator right here, and now we can add different use cases. And so basically we can say, if the output of the random number generator is the number 1, use this. If the output of it is number 2, use this. And if the output is number 3, and actually we'll just say, in this case, since we only have 3 routes, we'll just say else, which means if it's not 1 or 2, if it's something else, in our case, it'll be 3, right? We'll put something else in here. So what are we going to put in here? In every single one of these outputs, we're going to put a different RSS feed. So if we come in here, we'll obviously take our first bundle here, and we'll come in here and we'll just put that feed in there and then say we have some other feeds. I have a couple other bundles. I have this feed of YouTube creators, right? Alex and Rosie, Gary Vee, The Future, myself. So I'll just copy this and I can come back in here and I can put output 2. And I don't have another bundle going, but say it doesn't matter. So we can just come into the Anthropic Claude, the newsroom that we grabbed in the very beginning, and we can copy this and we can just go ahead and say else. And so now if the random number generator returns number 1, we're going to use our aggregate feed. If it returns number 2, we're going to use our YouTube feed. Or if it returns number 3, else, we're going to use the Anthropic blog. And so if you come in here and click OK, and so basically we can just click run once and we can ignore this error message. And basically you can see here, now it output this one value, right? Which is one of our RSS feeds. The input was number 3. So it returned number 3. We can run this again. This case is going to return number 1. And now we have a different RSS feed to come from. So you can see how incredibly powerful this is because now we can just link up this RSS feed module to the rest of the scenario. And instead of piping in this URL, we'll just use the output from the switch module. And so again, instead of it pulling from one single RSS feed bundle, now it's going to randomly pull from however many bundles we set in the switch module. And you can have 10 in here if you want. And just remember, if you have 10, change this number to 10, and it'll randomly generate a number between 1 and 10. It'll choose that number with the switch module, and then it'll pipe that into the RSS feed. So now that we have our whole scenario set up, what's really cool is that we can set this to run automatically. If you want this to run every day, every morning, once a week, however often you want, you just come in here and you can set this to run at regular intervals, or you can say days of the week, or you can say every day at, right now it says 10:23 a.m. and click OK, that's fine. And we can just go activate scenario by flipping that little toggle. And now this scenario is set up to run every day at 10:23 a.m. This is going to run automatically for you. It's going to generate a random number. It's going to grab one of the RSS feeds based on that number. It's going to grab the articles from it, however many you set here, right? We have our limit set to 5. It's going to grab all the body text from the articles. It's going to validate whether or not the article is about our topic. It's going to create the summary. It's going to create the one-liner. And it's going to come in and it's going to add this to our news topic database. So we can literally wake up every morning with new topics for us to approve to create our social media content on. So again, this is the beginning of our entire social media content flow. Basically what we're going to do in the next scenario is we're going to take the content that's in here and approved. We're going to feed it the body of that article, and we're going to create all our social media content automatically. So it's completely set up and ready to post and go public. So if you like this video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. And of course, watch part 2 of this video where I show you how to take all the articles that we just scraped and turn them into viral social media content. I'll see you over there.